perspectives, we're here to inspect it. I'm a small nut, a medium, let us escape from this tedium.
Welcome back to Paranormal Perspectives. Tonight we're speaking to international medium Billy Cook. Hi, thanks for being here. Lovely to have you.
Pleasure.
And I have my lovely friend and co-host Christine Stewart, also a lovely medium as well. Thank you for being here.
Good to see you.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to focus on Billy's life, really. We have a few questions for you, Billy, and would love to kind of get to know your story, like what led you to where you are, what kind of makes you you, really. So I'm going to pass this over to Christine to start with the questioning. May sound quite authoritarian, though, but yeah, we'd just love to hear more about you.
Well, that's very nice.
Thanks very much, Stan.
My life is rather boring, actually.
I don't believe that from
No life is boring.
So I've known Billy for a few years because he's tutored me on a few weekends away, and it's been a real pleasure. And we've asked you to come along tonight, Billy, because we just want to know, what is a medium? So my first question would be, could you tell the audience how you became a medium? Because I know you had a previous existence on the high seas. He was a pirate. Before you became a medium, how did you get there?
Well, I wasn't a pirate in the sea before I became a medium. For me, I've always been one since birth. I've always been not aware, but it's always been there. I've never had to give it a second thought. It was always there. It was always part of me. Coming from a family that my mother, as I've told many people, used to do tarot cards and playing cards and reading the tea leaves. And I used to listen to her. And I used to say things, and she'd say, "Don't tell anyone, they think you're daft." Because I used to say things. I had no idea what I was saying. And this is when I was about 5. The earliest I can go back to remembering that, 4 or 5. So it goes back, it's always been part of me. I've never put anything, should I say, special on it. It's just part of who you are. So when I hear people say, oh, it's a natural me, it's either you or it's not. So I believe it's very much always been a part of who I am. But it was later on in life I decided to work with it after traveling many different pathways. So, but my very first experience I can really remember was when my granny cook died. And in those days, many, many years ago, everyone used to sit around the bed waiting for him to die. And they was all sitting around my grand. I was 5 or 6, I'm not sure how old. But anyway, she was dying. And they was all hungry. So my cousin Terry went over to the chip shop and got 14 fish and chips. And come back. By the time he'd come back, she had died. And no one wanted to eat then except my Aunt Aggie, who originally come from Leicester. And someone said she ate the lot. She was a big girl. But then I was coming home from school and everyone was around our house then. And I was aware my gran come to me. I said, "Oh, you're all better now, are you?" And she said, "Tell your mum, Aunt Aggie ate all the fish and chips."
So you saw her?
I saw her, yeah. So when I got home and they were all crying, they said about, "Oh, Granny Cook died." I said, "No, I've just seen her." Of course, my mum being aware and knowing, she said, "What did she say?" So I told her, because everyone then started laughing, and because they knew that she was still around. So, and that was my very first experience I remember. Later on in life, when I started working for Spirit, my elder sister May, she told me that she used to have to look after me, her and her mate Lily Elliott. You have to take me everywhere. And I used to say things, "If you don't take me, this will happen." She said, "It always did." So they always took me with her. So it was things like the chain on the bike's going to break or something like that. So it was just, for me, it was just normal, if you understand what I mean. There was nothing spiritual. I didn't think of spirit. I never saw spirits or ghosts or anything. It was just a natural part of who I was. And I used to sit there at home sometimes, going up to when I was about 12, and some of the ladies around our street used to come and sit and talk to me. And I used to sit there and cluck. Oh yeah, so I never remember one lady. She thought I was wonderful because I used to cluck and listen. Exactly what I do now. And so it's all been. And I think most natural mediums, I believe, that ability is very much with them from the beginning of time when they're born and grows with them. So but I never wanted to be a medium. Never wanted to. I had too much life to live. And of course, I went through my life through school. We was a very down to earth working class family. Used to go hot picking every year down in Kent. We was poor, didn't have much money. My dad used to be at sea and drunk too much. My mum was always out working hard. Unfortunately, the terrible thing in my life at that stage was when she passed, I was only 14. And I was very much, she was around all the time and aware. I didn't cry any tears, funny enough, because I just knew she was okay. It was only later on in my life when I needed her in my physical life that I began to cry and miss her. So it was very much there. So, and part you felt, just a knowing, should I say. And then I started off, I was going to be a journalist with the Daily Mirror. And then I started off there working for the Daily Mirror, but it was the time of the two eyes coffee bars and Soho and London. And I was seduced by the beautiful lights of Soho and the beautiful people there. So, and when they found that I wasn't going to night school and going on with higher education, I was asked to leave the Daily Mirror. So, and then that's when I went away to sea. I didn't want to go, but I was working then in Tilbury for the people that run the ferry, British Rail, and we had a Norwegian whaler coming in, and I met this beautiful blonde Norwegian whaler man, and I fell in love madly. And he said, "You should come away to sea." And I thought, if you're all like you, my dear, I will do. So, but it made up my mind, and I ran away to sea, as they say, and I took like fish to water, and I did it for 20 years. Met some wonderful, exciting things used to happen at sea. Met some wonderful people. Two of them become my mentors in the spiritual movement, who are now passed over. Well, nearly everyone I know has passed over now, except you, Christine. And we've had our worries over you, but it's so it was a great time, a wonderful time. Saw some terrible things, and what other people think were terrible. For me, there was normal, if you understand what I mean. People taking their life. For example, we used to have to start work at 6 o'clock on the ships, and I was in the cage, and we used to go up to the pantry, and they're all huddled around, and they're saying, we was just going through the Bay of Biscay on the way to New Zealand, and they were saying, "Oh, this man, I can't remember his name, he threw himself over the side last night into the sea." And I said, "No, I've just seen him." I saw him walking down the engine room where he worked. They said, "No, no." I thought, "Oh, I better not explain. They won't understand." But so things like that, and you'd be aware of things. So there was all little instances like that, and them two mentors of mine, Laurie and Chris, we used to sit doing sort of seances around the table on the higher seas, the ship tossing and turning, and we're tuning in. I learned a lot from them. But one of the things that Laurie always said to me, if you go on, he said, "You will work for Spirit one day." I just took no notice. I had no intention. And he said, "Always be honest and truthful." And as you know, Christine, that's always what I've tried to be. Some people don't like it, but sometimes you have to be truthful. So, and that was that. So I did that for 20 years. And then I went up to Blackpool Hotel. And when I left the sea, I bought a hotel up there. And I loved it. It was great. It was fabulous. The nightlife, the work, I just loved it all. And I met my mate Steve, And we used to go around all the spiritual centers, churches, a lot, getting all kinds of messages here, there, and everywhere. But I wanted to know, is it true? Is it my imagination or whatever it is? So I thought, my sister Marlene, my young sister, she died when she was only 40, and she was mediumistic as well. And I thought, she'll tell me. She'll tell me. And I tried to get a message from different mediums and psychics. Oh, no one give me that what I wanted. They was all, oh, you're going to get a nice hotel on the seafront, or you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to make lots of money. As you know me, Christine, I've never been interested in money. It's never been my goal, never. Or wealth or properties or nothing. But anyway, we travelled, and I couldn't get these people coming out with all this nonsense, and it disillusioned me. Until one day, Steve come in and he said, "You must go round to the shoe shop." He said, "There's this little Welsh girl, and she's fabulous." Because he was also very much into evidence of the spirit. So it goes round, and you had to make out you was buying a pair of shoes, and she'd be trying all these shoes on, and she'd be giving the message at the same time. And she gave him my sister, she gave my mum, she gave my dad, loved ones. She was fantastic. £3 she charged. It was absolutely wonderful, and such evidence. My dog Sandy at the time. It was beautiful, and also told me I was going to live in Devon. I said, no, Dover, because I had friends from the sea days in Dover. She said, no, it's Devon. You're going to have a cafe down there. She said, hold on with your hotel. She said, you'll get the money that you want. Don't under sort of sell it. You will get it. And which I did, I will say. And we sold it at a good price. And it was all ready to go down to Devon. Steve, well, first of all, was before that, I'm getting ahead of myself. I was going to open a restaurant with Steve called Shakespeare's. Everything was done on a Shakespearean theme, and we're looking forward to it. I come down to Torquay just to sort of a little break before we started. I gave this man £1,000 to take the restaurant off the market because it was fabulous, and I thought that was going to be my future. And then when I was here, I was walking on the seafront in Torquay. It was on a Monday, and out of the blue, this voice, this noise, it said, "This is where you're supposed to be. You've had your fun. Now the work begins." And I'm going, "Who's that? Who's that?" Yeah. So that was on the Monday. On Wednesday, I was back in Blackpool. I met the man, and I said, "I'm not going ahead." I couldn't get the money back, the £1,000 I give him. On Saturday, I was living in Devon, in Torquay. It was that quick. And the night before, or the day before we come, Steve drove me all the way down here. He said, "You must go and see this medium. Absolutely fabulous." So he was always very good at finding these mediums. So I went, and the door opened, and it was funny. And this Queen opened the door, very sort of simpering. And I thought, oh no. And then not I'm against Queens, I'm raving one myself. Anyway, goes upstairs, and this Patrick was sitting in the corner. He said, "Hello." I said, "Hello." I said, "Oh no." He said, "You're the one that used to call me Mystic Meg, aren't you?" I said, "Oh, it's only a joke." And anyway, what a message did I get. Once again, all my loved ones. He told me about, I'd be sitting in circle. He named the people and who was running the circle who I'd sit with. He talked about going on stage and theatre and things. I said, no, not me. I know people in the theatre. He said, "No, this is you." And anyway, he named it. He told me about the cafe, like the Welsh girl did, exactly the same description. And it was correct when I went down there. And it was absolutely unbelievable. It blew my mind. Not at first. I said, "Oh, no." But when I got down to Torquay, it was within a week, I saw this cafe, went in there, bought it, and it was nothing. I said, how much do you take? She said, 2.5. I thought, 250 a day is not bad. She took £25 a week. But I was so sure it was going to work and got it all up running within a week. First day open, it was packed. And it was a good business, a very good business. From there, I met so many people, spiritual people. Roy come into my life then. And that's a mate of mine, Stan, is it Stan? Yeah. Yeah. Roy was a friend of mine. And we've been friends now, 50 years. And he said, do you fancy go over to the spiritualist church? Yeah. Goes over there. A woman, a beautiful medium, which I found out afterwards when I got to know, Agnes Porter, was talking to the flowers, doing flower readings. And I think I told you, I thought she was mental, talking to the flowers. Thought she was crazy. But something drew me back the next day for the Sunday service. And she was, I thought, my God, in the philosophy, she's talking to the God that I've spoken to since I was a child. Not this Catholic one that hates everything, not this Protestant one that, I can, religion does nothing for me whatsoever. I think it's been the cause of all the problems in the world. And regardless if it's Christian, Hindu, anything, any religion. And still they're fighting over it. Even in the same religion, they're fighting each other. And but I just thought, oh dear. But it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And then I was invited straight away to sit in a circle, which I did. And I was there for many years with my mentor, Betty Reeves, who's now passed over, who taught me everything, learned me how to be strong on platform, took me out. So I learned my lessons and began this learning how to be a medium, not just about knowing about it, but learning how to work with it and to do it, which was to me so, so important. So that was the beginning of it all. That's how it all started. And so I remember the first thing I said to her was, do you believe in God? She said, don't be so bloody stupid. You're in the circle. So, but it was very disciplined. Roy couldn't stand it. He left after a few weeks. But it was very much disciplined. We had to behave ourselves, which was very difficult for me. But she kept me in check. But she made me strong on platform. She made me strong in my beliefs, made me strong in the work that I was doing. But most of all, she made me believe in myself. And that this gift that I have was a genuine one and not one of imagination. And through the knowledge that I gained through her and going to Stansted College, the Arthur Findlay College, I grew and grew with the knowledge that I was given. So it's not just about knowing that I have this gift. It's about learning how to work with it. For I think that knowledge and education is great. I'm not talking about being academic. I don't think that's necessary. I don't need to know about pioneers and things. I want to know to get the nitty-gritty, the mechanics of mediumship and how it works and how to work with it. And that's what I try to teach today, is the simplicity of spirit. Don't make it too complicated, which up to now has worked for most of my students. And around the world, different places, especially in Scandinavia, where I worked for many years. And some of them have gone on to become some of the best mediums there, which is wonderful. So that's just a little sort of part of who I was then, coming up to now. And now I've been doing it 40 years. So,
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. It's an amazing
Yeah, you've led an amazing life. Wow.
Absolutely. I'm interested that you said a couple of times. So did you actually second guess yourself? Did you think it was your imagination then, Billy?
Never.
So you said about when you first started, you had to find out that it was, or have I misheard you, that it wasn't just your imagination?
I would, yeah. When I was going to Marvel,
Yeah.
It's not about second guessing or whatever it meant. What I meant was by that there was a true spirit world.
Yeah.
Not my gifts, but there was a spirit world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so it was, I never found it to be difficult. It just fell into place. They say when the student's ready, the the teacher appears. It seemed to be that all the way when I was being taught. So
uh, I'm going to ask, can anybody be a medium?
no.
Right, okay.
Um,
Like,
some
like,
everyone has the ability to develop their gifts,
yeah,
but to take it to that high level where you perform and demonstrate in front of the public, that is a different thing. And that's why today we see so many people that go out there that are not ready to do it. Not that they haven't got a gift, it's there, but you have to keep developing and developing. It doesn't stop even now. I'm still learning, I'm still developing it. So it's always there, you're always learning things. But everyone has the ability, I should say. But not everyone's going to go on to be, should we say, a medium in the public eye.
Would you say it's less of a choice and more of a calling then in that case? Like it'll call to you when it's the right time for you.
To me, it was always a calling. I ask that question of my students every time they sit for the first time. Is it a job or is it a calling? Unfortunately, today, because of the publicity around being a medium, many new ones that come out now, to them, it's a job. It's all about the money. You see, I was lucky having the cafe when I first started off, that it paid for my, should I say, my education as such and workshops and things. So I had that ability. And then I was ready. And when I started to work full time, it's because I couldn't do both. I would have loved to stay in the cafe, which I loved, because it was so wonderful. There'd be all kinds of spirit. It was a working man's cafe, and there'd be my mate Connie. She'd be doing healing in one corner. Someone else would be doing readings in another corner. There was always something going on spiritually as well. And these big butch sort of navvies sitting there going, it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
excellent.
But it was just a great time.
So, what do you love most about being a medium?
One of the main things is the joy that you see in people's eyes and in their souls when you reconnect them with their loved ones. That's wonderful. And and that joy that they bring. And like I got when I first connected with my mum and my sister. And it was beautiful. It's excitement.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And that's why I get so frustrated sometimes when people tell me, oh, you're going to buy a new pair of shoes or you're going to do this and go there. And they're going, I'm not interested. I always say I'm fat and ugly enough to run my own life. I don't need a medium to tell me. Give me evidence of my loved ones. That's what I need to know.
And it's the depth of it's the depth of the evidence, isn't it?
Exactly. It's all about evidence.
Do you think people are too quick to want to? Is it the society we live in or the expectations that, I've heard people say, oh, I'll be a medium in 6 months. I think, wow, really? It takes a long while to develop, doesn't it?
Very much so, yeah. Nothing's changed. We used to have to say all those years ago, go to Stansted College, the Upper Finley, and come back in a week as a trance medium, because they used to think they was, because they sat in circle groups. And people seem to think that these days. What we do wrong, I think, as mediums, when we do a demonstration in a theatre, on the stage, and a platform, is we tend to make it look too easy. So when you want a lot of people, they think, oh, I can do that. And you get a lot of people that are frustrated actors or performers, and they think they can do it. And of course, you can, not in a spiritual way, but you can copy and you can do all kinds of things, and some of them are very good. But to get that deep evidential mediumship, that is a different thing. That is a very different thing.
So when you've got a connection, how do you perceive the information you're getting? Is it just a knowing, or is it clairaudience, or
all three?
You get all three coming.
Yeah. When I first started off, it was clairsentience, and that's part of the learning process. And then you hear, and then you see. So when you're having a good night, you get all those things: seeing, sensing, hearing, and this knowing. I know I'm right. And there'll be other times you think, that doesn't feel right. But it is about knowing, just a knowing. But most mediums that are working with it, they work, most mediums, well, I should say that all mediums work in different ways. No two mediums work the same. But for me, when I'm working and it's a good night, I usually work on all levels. Sometimes if it's a difficult night, whatever that may be, for what reason, it usually be sensitive. So there'll be different ways of working in different times and different energies. So there's no sort of one thing, was it one hat fits all? It depends on the room, the energy, the people, everything. So, but part of that knowledge of learning is learning your trade. I always say to the new students, go and join your church. Go run and work in the churches and learn your trade, how to work with spirit, because all those different churches. And I used to travel up and down the country. You know, I used to take my little dog with me, sit in the back of the car. The place he liked best was Plymouth because they gave him chocolate biscuits. And but you know, it was wonderful. I enjoyed it until I got fed up with traveling. And that's one of the worst things most mediums say is being away from home too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and especially if you've got family or whatever it may be, and most mediums go through that. It's all very exciting at first, and then after a few years, you think, "Oh God, here we go again." Until you get there and you get that, "Oh, here I am! Wow!" And it starts all over again.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to somebody who's going to rock up and is genuinely interested in finding out more about mediumship? If somebody comes to you and asks those questions, where would you direct them to find out more?
First of all, to the local church. I like this SNU setup. Many people don't, but I do because they've got a wonderful education system. And some people don't like it. Other people go. But from the church, like I did, we went onto a home circle. So that is, well, and then in circle, and some churches have their own closed circle where you develop as well. But I would always send them to the church first.
I know you run a course. You run courses, don't you?
Yeah, I'm running the course now. I'm doing an online course at the moment.
Yeah.
Which starts, when is it? 22nd, next week, next Wednesday. Still a couple of places left if anyone wants to join it. Send me a mail on my Facebook, Billy Cook. Not Billy Cook Medium, it's a different page, just Billy Cook. Yeah. And
excellent. I recommend going along. I haven't been on that particular course, but I did work with you. Well, you taught me a few places. So what do you think is the biggest barrier in a person's development to be a medium?
The biggest barrier is, I would say, trying to rush too much.
Yeah.
Trying to rush. Take your time. As I said, it will open up for you gradually. I love the story. Is it the hare and the mouse or something, or the
tortoise?
Tortoise, yeah.
Yeah.
The tortoise always gets there in the end. But and you can always tell when people are rushing too much. When they go on platform, they don't develop it properly. It's too quickly. Take your time, learn your trade, go around those churches, those centers, and develop your mediumship. But the most important thing, which I haven't said yet, is, and part of this development with your mediumship, you're also developing your own soul, your own spirit. But it's no good being an excellent medium if you're not very spiritual and not very nice.
Yeah, because the two just don't go together anyway, do they?
No. So you've got to be nice. I mean, if you're going to work with people and helping people, but I know a lot of not so nice ones, mediums, pretty good. But they're not interested in the spiritual side of things. But for me, I think it's important to work on self and grow as a person as well. When I look back over the years and see who I was years ago, I've come a hell of a lot of way. I think I've told you before, my life was all sex, drugs, and rock and roll, as they say. And it was wonderful. And the medium said to me once, she said, "Oh my God, what a terrible life." It was fabulous. It was fabulous. But I mean, but what it does, it makes you up to who you are now.
I think it makes you real, doesn't it?
Oh, very much so.
Because
The,
I used to have this illusion that mediums were all like the spiritual gurus, and they're actually not. They're just normal people, aren't they, that have a particular gift.
well, you've been on seminars with me and my mate Gordon Smith, so you know, we have a wonderful
Absolutely.
time.
My lips are sealed, but it was a wonderful night. We had a lot of fun. So, I imagine our friends in the spirit world must have a real sense of humor because there used to be
Oh
humor.
my God, yeah.
Have you ever done any or had anything funny happen to you when you've been demonstrating?
Nearly every time. As you know, I've got a wicked sense of humour. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything that sticks out from mine. Mainly it was using the wrong words. I was doing a demonstration in a place called Teignmouth in Devon, and I was giving this man a message, and I said, "Oh, your father had a dictum. What's it? Not tracheotomy, but a dictomy, trachodictomy." And everyone was laughing. I thought, what are they laughing for? I didn't mean to say that. And another time, fun enough, in the same church, I talked to this woman about her husband, and he used to be a sailor. She said, "Oh, yes, he was." As I'm seeing in his boat, he had a little fishing boat that used to go out at Teignmouth and go fishing. She said, "Oh, yes." She said, I said, "I'm in there." And I've been told to mime my accent and speak a bit posher, which is very difficult. And I was trying to bring my H's in. Everything was H. And I said, "He's in this boat with a couple of whores." And so that went down very well. So, but people like that. They love that. So, because they know that you're human, they know that you will make mistakes. And there's lots of time.
Couple of whores. I'm sorry, I think that's funny.
One of the funniest things that I never even writ like them. You know, it's not funny if you know what you're doing. It's when you do it. And in Copenhagen, and I'm doing a demonstration, there's about 300 people there, and the place was packed. And I was giving this woman, and the loved ones come through, and I said, "Oh," I said, and she's brought this lovely, lovely cat through. She said, "Oh, you had a lovely pussy." Because everyone's shrieking with laughter. And I'm thinking, what are they laughing for? And then she stopped. She said, "The cat was called Pussy."
Oh, right.
So you never know
Absolutely.
what you say. So all these things, you know, come, and part of many other instances as well. Funny times that's happened to us in demonstrations, and some of the mistakes that you make. I was doing a demonstration, and I was never forget the bad ones. Rarely remember the good ones, but the bad ones. And it was down in Cornwall, and I've got the microphone, and and I was going to this woman. I was describing this man. It was Scottish, and he was in one of the Scottish Guards and whatever it was, and all that. And she's going, "No, no, no." So I said, "Oh my God." So I go, I said, "I'll leave it with you." And I come away. And I said, "This woman there," I said, "Would you understand it?" She said, "Yes, yes." She said, "So and so, so and that. That's my granddad that was in the so and so." So anyway, this other woman, she went, "Oh, is that's what it's about? Oh, I understand that." And I forgot to take the mic away. And I went, "Oh, for sake." You know, but you do make mistakes.
Of course we do.
I love your life, Billy. Like you seem like you've lived an amazing
Yeah,
life, and
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's so much cooler than mine, quite frankly. But I'm just thinking about the people who are watching this who don't know much about mediumship, and they could be maybe on the fence or maybe not convinced just yet. Like from your kind of wealth of experience, like if you could pick a particular memory where you discovered something or something happened, like, and you could maybe present that memory to somebody else who's not entirely sure, that could maybe just at least potentially open their minds. Like, is there a piece of evidence that you've had that could maybe make someone think, actually, there might be at least maybe something a bit more to the world that's presented to me?
It's difficult
Mm,
because what is evidence for me might not be evidence for them.
mm. Good
So,
point.
and you know, you can give a purse to someone, and oh, it's my mum's purse. I've got that. I've got that. And to someone else, they go, "Oh, just a purse." But so it depends on what you're giving. But the most important thing, as we've spoken about before, is to give that evidential to give them their mum, the name, how they passed, all those different things, so there could be no doubt that it's their mum or their dad, whoever it may be. That's the important thing. And you can still give people wonderful evidence until they're ready to accept it. Then that's the difficult thing. And I was in Gran Canaria a few years ago, about 10 years ago now, and I was in a bar there, and this guy came up to me. He was German. He said, "Hello, you Billy Cook?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Do you remember me?" I said, "No." So he said, "You gave me a message in Berlin." So I said, "Okay." He said, "You brought my father through to me." He said, "But I wasn't ready to accept it, and I denied it. I wouldn't say yes to anything." He said, "But I want to apologize. Everything you said was right." He said, "I am now, I've grown now, and I can accept it." So some people are not ready to accept it, and that happens a lot. And also, you may not be the medium for them. They may want someone that's a bit more, should we say, spiritual, or no, not spiritual, sweet and nice and love and light, and perhaps are not wanting to have a little bit of a fun or joke with it, because the spirit world must wet themselves laughing at us, some of the things that we do in their name. Some of these people do silly actions, and pure theatre, funny arms of shapes and what. They don't make us do that. We do that ourselves. We call it theatrics. You know, you just got to stand there and listen to the spirit world coming close. You don't need to put any dramas. A lady, she coughs and she goes, a problem with the throat. And other people do funny things with their hands and what have you. And it's strange. One old mate of mine years ago, Bertie, he reckoned his guide liked whiskey. The guide didn't like whiskey, Bertie did. So, so during the session, the chairperson was always giving him tots of whiskey. And by the end of the service, Bertie was slightly inebriated. So, and that's one thing I love about mediumship and about going around to places. We don't have it today. People of character, mediums of character. Now, I find that most mediums we see today are dull as ditch water. And I think that's unforgivable. If you allow the spirit world to draw close to you and get their personality and feel the energy from them, they're alive. They're not going to sit and go, "Oh, look at me, I'm dead." They say, "Yes, look at me, I'm alive." So, and you know, I get so annoying. In fact, my mate Craig, who Christine knows, he nudges me and said, "Wake up," because I fall asleep. Because it's not. It's lively. Mediumship is magic. It should be exciting all the time. Not knocking at mediums. It's just people different. And it goes back to what we say about developing your work properly. And if you allow the spirit will come through with their personality, which goes back to your questions, Dan, if you got that personality of that man or woman that comes through, or even child, that's my mum, that's my dad.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a demonstration once in Eastbourne, and I went to this girl and I said, about a mum and so and I said, "Your mum said your house is filthy." And everyone went, "Oh,
Love it.
he can't say that." So she said, "That's what she always used to say." And said, "She's showing me drawing on your cupboards, dirty, needs cleaning, dust." She said she used to do it every time she come in. And she said, "You've definitely got my mum there." Now, who else would give you that information except their loved ones?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, and the girl she was lovely. You wouldn't think that she had a scruffy house. Yes, Dan.
Well, I love that. This reminds me of like the first. So admittedly I was quite a reluctant medium because I was originally brought up in like a particular religion that was told that kind of thing is dirty and bad. And yeah, I don't want to say what to give it a bad reputation, but
Catholic, yeah.
yeah, we guess very much so, but it's not all bad as well. But yeah, I was, essentially pursued by something following a traumatic event, and it took me many years of experiencing various phenomena like poltergeist activity, essentially, which I ignored for years and years and years. And eventually, when I finally kind of succumbed to it and accepted, okay, like these things are happening now, because now other people are experiencing these things. For example, like we used to hear like whistling noises and voices and laughing
Mm.
inside the house we were living in. When I finally accepted and joined my first circle for the first time, I actually experienced something where I kind of got my evidence where we were practicing psychometry at the time. And
All right.
at the
Mm.
time, I didn't know what psychometry was. I could barely even spell psychometry, let alone like understand what it was truly about. And I just gave it a go, and they gave me this envelope with an item in it, and gave me no more information. And as I held this envelope over a period of 5 minutes, I went blind in one eye. I thought I was having a stroke of some sort, but like my left eye went very milky. I kept seeing all these pictures and images of this old lady and her favorite cat, and this feeling of being there in this place, and I think her favorite room, drinking tea, and all these kind of specifics. And I finally decided to say that out loud to this group.
Good.
And I happened to identify exactly the man sat opposite to me. He was quite new to me. He didn't know much about me, nor I about him. And identified that his mother had cataracts and had various other ailments that my body was exhibiting at the time. It was
Uh,
quite scary for myself because it was literally matching reality. This thing was that was in my head. And I was able to pass on this message to him, which is quite private. I don't want to share it here anyway, though. But it allowed him to accept the passing of his mother a few months before. And it's when you get that first moment where this thing that's in your head, that's
you
seen as
come
like
together.
imagination meets reality. It's like it's an
Yeah,
amazing feeling. It's
wonderful.
kind of scary, I admit. I get
Mm.
scared of everything anyway. But eventually, I thought, wow, this isn't a dream. So yeah, I mean, to know there
Mm.
are other people like myself, like you, Billy, and you, Christine, and so on, it's quite, humbling.
Who did you sit in circle with?
Oh,
Maybe
No, Stan.
oh, I forget. It sounds really bad. I forget the name of the lady who did it. Ran it. It was about 15 years ago now, and it's a lady in our nearby town in Kidlington. She ran the circle with about 6 or 7 other kind of beginners. She had
Mhm.
2 beautiful Alsatians as well. Like they were albino Alsatians, and her thing was, okay, well, if you go too deep into a meditation, they sense if you're struggling, and they'll give you a nudge to pull you back out. And exactly that happened as well. I went into my first deep, almost trance-like meditation, and I began to kind of panic a bit because I was going too fast, too deep. Sure
Mm.
enough, one of the dogs came over, gave me a nudge, and brought me out very kind of safely. So that leads me on to the next question. If okay, Billy, again, I'm just thinking about people that are watching this who don't know enough about mediumship. Like you mentioned trance mediumship. Would you mind
Um,
explaining like your definition? What is that and how does that work?
Trance is not my kettle of fish. I'm not interested in trance.
Okay.
Because I've seen good trance and I've seen most of it a lot of rubbish.
Hmm.
And anyone can close their eyes and talk in a funny voice. Bleating's phlegms, but I've seen some good stuff, but I don't know enough about it to talk about it because it's never interested me. So I couldn't possibly give a verdict on it except what I've seen. And some friends of mine very much into it, and I've got good reputations with it as well. But trance is simply about the spirit world coming closer and not taking you over because there's only room for you there, but they blend with your mind and bring that evidence of who they are. Then you go into direct voice, physical mediumship, and but chances when they do come closer and they can
Hmm.
use you feel the voice and speak whoever comes through if you allow it, and that takes years to develop. And too often with the trance that we see these days, they haven't sat for years.
Hmm.
They haven't sat for years. And that a friend of mine said once years ago, asked a medium, how can you prove to us that you're in trance? And she said, well, you come up here if you think you can do better. Now, spirit wouldn't say that. Spirit would explain. And we talked about our friend Roy earlier on. And I said to him, ask that as she can prove, this is another woman, as she can prove I'm in trance. And she said, oh, if you want a message, you'll have to come for a reading tomorrow. Now, spirit don't say things like that. They explain it to you. They talk to you. They're gentle. They're kind. They're not angry. It's like when I hear mediums say, oh, your mother's mad at you and she's angry with you. That's not spirit. That's the medium's mind. Because spirit communication is about love. Simple that love. And I know at times the medium has their patience tested. Mine has been many times. With some people you're given a reading to, but it is important that you remember the spirit world is one of love and understanding, not of judgment. And people seem to forget that. And that all goes back to learning to sit in the power, sitting in that power, the energy and feeling the spirit world drawing closer to you. And that's why I feel it's important that people learn to sit in the power and do that properly right from the beginning. It's the key to go on to good mediumship. So yeah.
Do you find it easy to meditate?
I don't meditate.
You don't. You just sit.
I tune in.
Right.
See, two different things. Meditate is where you go up a mountain, down a mountain, round a mountain, up there, down here. So if you're doing that, you can't focus, can you, on
No, of course not.
tuning in properly. So when you're tuning in, you're going up and out and feeling the spirit world coming close to us and blending with the energy of the spirit world. And you're at one with that. And then your mind's focused on that at one with spirit. And that's when you get that oneness, which takes time to perfect, which you never perfect anyway. That's when you open yourself up and the spirit world, whoever it is, blends with your energy. And that's when that spirit person comes closer to you.
Billy, can I ask you, when the spirit comes close to you, do you feel kind of energized?
Yes, I feel excited. When I tune in, we talk about our calling card, a recognition sign. Mine's a little throbbing at the top of my nose here.
Right.
I used to ignore it because it was too simple. I was expecting Fred and Ginger to come tap dancing down the stairs. Something wonderful. But it was just simple. And as soon as I start thinking spirit, like now, it's there.
Yeah.
So as soon as I get that there and I get energized. And if I'm going to do, it depends on what I'm going to do. If I'm doing a demonstration, you see me, I start getting agitated. I'm walking up and down and I want to go and get on and do it. So you feel that. I feel excited. I feel energized. I feel good. But also, this is part of the development and learning. You also may pick up at that time people that are coming through already. So you may have someone coming through straight away that's depressed, or not there. So you have to learn to know how to separate that from tuning in properly.
Got you.
So tuning in is good. And sometimes you hear the students say, "Oh, I've got nothing." You have got something. But it's about learning through your experiences to work with it. And that's what a good teacher does. That's what our teacher used to do to us. You can't sit there and tune in. The spirit world's not going to ignore you. And you say, "Oh, I've got nothing." You have got something. Just let it come closer to you and work with it. So, which is good. Yeah.
Wow. It's just been a really interesting. An hour has gone already.
Wow, really? I feel like I've been here 10 minutes.
I know, and it's just
Can you carry on? You're just going all night. This is great.
Right, carry on if you wish. Yeah.
And it's just wonderful to hear that mediums are normal people.
Exactly.
That they're not some guru that goes and sits on the top of a mountain.
Well, some people think you do. I remember a lady once saying when we was doing the Eastbourne of things years ago with Gordon, the SAGB, and when Gordon says, "Excuse me, I've got to go to the toilet," she said, "Oh, you have to go to the toilet."
But
is she mental or what? So you just, I don't know. Nothing surprises me. Nothing surprises me. Yeah. So
brilliant.
Yeah. So have you got anything else to? I just got rid of all the questions because you've just answered everything I was going to ask anyway. Yeah. So,
but it is about, as I said, when people everyone's different how they feel and how they work with it, and believe in yourself. Yeah.
Do you think this will be probably my last question? Do you think now, because we can access so many things online, that there'll be more people trying to or developing mediumship because they can, like with your course, for instance?
Right. First of all,
like where I'm coming from that Billy, we didn't have things like this years and years ago where you could go on a course. You had to go to church, get invited to a circle. You don't, do you think now because people can tap into things that's a good
Um,
thing?
there's a problem with that as well. I feel that every man and his dog now doing things online, and some of it is not so good.
Hmm.
Some of it is very good. So it's about finding the right one for you. And as I said, I can't recommend going to a local church, a spiritualist church, whether it's Christian spiritualist or SNU. But if you want to develop properly, I believe the SNU is the best education-wise. Um, and uh, and I feel that's important. And you get it as it is there.
Hmm.
Where online you don't know these people. I'm lucky enough because I have a reputation. People know who I am, and most of those people on my course have been on my courses, have known me
Hmm.
and have worked with me. And I have quite a few Danish people and Swedish, where, as you know, I had my own television program in Denmark. So there's a lot of stuff going on out there now, and I don't know who they are, but everyone now can go online and say they're a medium, and
But it's not necessarily a good thing, is it?
no, and that's why I like the education system of the SNU, which I am CSNU speaker and demonstrator, and
What
so
does CSNU stand for then?
a certificate holder of National Union, Spiritual National Union.
Right.
So but
From your awards cabinets. Wow. Oh, I can see it.
Oh, public
Ah,
speaking. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. We are honored to have you here.
we
yes,
are, yeah.
what's your question, Stan?
Yeah. Well, I want to say just to round things up really, because I'd say for one, I love Copenhagen. I went there about over a year ago, fell in love with the city. Like, I'd love to go back there again. So, you're very lucky to. Did you say you had a show in Denmark?
I worked over there for about 20 years.
Wow,
Not
incredible.
living, not living there, but I used to go over every year. I
Yeah,
used to have, I used to have a school there. After I did the television programs, because mainly it was all psychic, and they wanted me to do a school there. So I started the
I
English school.
see.
I started the
Yes.
English School of Mediumship there,
Wow.
Wow.
I wish I
and
visited it. I didn't know that was even there when I visited there. So maybe next time we go there, maybe we'll have
well,
a
it's
nose
not there now
around.
because I'm not there. I don't travel now, but there's still lots going on. Still lots
So,
going on in
so
Copenhagen.
there's quite a big spiritual community, you would say, in
Oh, now all
Copenhagen.
over the country, yeah.
Wow.
And there used to be a lovely church there called the Daniel Church, which is now closed, unfortunately. There's one in Aarhus, um, and that's a nice one. But there's plenty of centres and stuff like that all over Copenhagen and
Yeah.
Sweden as well, which I also used to work in, and Germany. So, but when I started the schools in Denmark in Copenhagen, and we used to have people coming all over, and the course would last for 12 months or 12 over the year. And we used to give them a certificate at the end of it if they passed the exams. And as I say, some of those went on to be some of the top mediums in Denmark. They not after 1 year, some used to say 2 or 3 years. So which was good. So some lovely people, and I loved Denmark, Copenhagen especially. Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
wonderful. So
I see why anybody would love that city. But no, thank you, Billy, for being here tonight, and Christine. Like, it means a lot that you're both here and giving your very valuable wealth of experiences, really, to share with the world. Really, so I know you both touched upon the the love frequency, as we call it,
yeah,
and it's something I've been discovering more and more. The more I kind of trust my instincts and
learn to
connect
love
and
yourself.
then to love yourself as well, because yeah, the universe is inside as well as the outside of yourself. Like
Exactly.
there's an inner landscape to explore.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, you can definitely connect to the love frequency. It doesn't matter what religion you are, whether
Exactly.
whether you're non-religious, any variant of that. Basically, like anybody can connect to the love frequency. And when you
Exactly.
do, you see the world in a different way. You become a bit more understanding of people who
Well,
are going through their times.
when you start to develop yourself and you work on yourself, you become more caring, more compassionate, more
Oh yeah,
understanding, and you start. I use the term Before I used to walk through the park because it was a shortcut. Now I walk through, so I look at the flowers. I want to look what's going on in there, the animals and things. So where I just want to get through to the other side first of all. But
Lovely.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
so one thing you have to also remember is, although it's a very serious business, don't let it become too serious.
Hmm.
Do you understand? Don't let it become the be all end all. And you know, it's fun. And that's why I think the spirit world, they laugh at us sometimes. And they say, oh my God, what's he up to now? But just take it easy. Believe in it, yeah. But don't sort of, I don't know what's the word, what am I looking for? Just don't take it all far too serious that it becomes everything.
Can't force it.
Yeah.
I completely get that, yeah.
Let it come
Well, that's it.
naturally.
Well, I think it's perfect point to round off anyway. And
Yeah.
I always love keeping, you know, I'd love to kind of keep talking, like I say, though, but we
Yeah.
have to end it eventually. But hopefully, you know, if Billy, if you ever want to speak again, you're more than welcome to come back. And
Thank you.
but thank you so much for sharing and taking the time tonight.
Right. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, but yeah, lovely to meet you. And yeah, we'll join you guys watching for the next episode of Paranormal Perspectives.
Right.
I still find it very hard to say my own channel, but I'll eventually get used to saying it. So
But while we're there doing adverts, we have on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of February, we have what we call Spirit Quest in Western Supermare at the holiday camp there. What's it called? Pontins. And it's been going now for 30 years. And we have about 300 people there. Top mediums around the country. Also, some come over from Denmark and Sweden. And if anyone wants to come and join that, just type in Spirit Quest, and they get
Spirit Quest.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll make sure to drop a link in the video below.
So, and that's wonderful. And the other thing, in September, we are doing a psychic cruise. So if anyone wants to join that, they can go onto my page once again, Billy Cook, and see if they like that as well, which goes from here about 5 or 6 days over to Zeebrugge, I think, or somewhere else, and then up to Hamburg and back to Southampton. That's very interesting.